And we're good. All right. We're good. Serverless and React. Take it away.
One more time. Good evening. Thank you for being here. That's late. I just want to say that, that's not my first time here, honestly. I've been here a few times, mostly listening, and right now I'm talking to you. That's really exciting. And I will tell you how I feel about it, just maybe after talk, okay? But let's get straight to the business. So my name is Marina, and today I'm going to talk about React and serverless. Just before I will start about it, just want to understand how many people here familiar with that. So how many of you know React? Awesome! And I'm going to be a little bit more specific. Server-side rendering with React. A little bit less, but that's okay. We can work with it. And how many of you know what is serverless? Wow, that's a great auditory. I expected much less hands that do it, but that's awesome. Then you can ask me all these difficult questions. That's going to be fun. So, and why actually doing this talk? Just because at one point I realized that serverless technology is kind of underestimated by front-end community. Not you. You're definitely on top of things, I can tell. But usually front-end people not that into serverless technologies. And I'm not only one who noticed this. Like Chris Coyer, he tweeted this back in January. So he started, who is Chris Coyer? Guy who behind the CodePen. I guess you all know what is CodePen. CSS tricks, so he's a great front-end guy. And he did much better job than I am actually doing in spreading this technology around the front-end community. He created the whole site, put links to vendors in there, good tutorials, articles, everything in there. Go there, check it out. What I'm gonna do to you today is actually as simple as public code review. So we're gonna go through my code, see how that works, and I prepare a little demo application to you to show how easy doing the serverless and how fun is it, all right? So I'm gonna try to give it fun and entertainment. And I'm really sorry, I didn't introduce myself that well, so I work with EPAM, I work as solution architect there. I mostly work with AWS, that's why my demo is going to be in AWS, but I will try to talk about Google Cloud and Azure as well. I am front-end, and I mostly work right now with React Native, and as being solution architect means writing a lot of documentation. Not really proud of it, but that's part of my job. And 3 little fun facts, just ice-breaking. I have a dog. He's not gray, he's red, and his name is Oreo. I really, really like everything about spaceship. I am not that familiar with that to keep a meaningful conversation with subject experts, but I really get like my shivers in the skin when somebody talk about it. Really like to listen. And I really want to go to Tokyo. One day we'll do this. And with this, let's go to our agenda. As I said, I try to keep this code review as entertainment as I can, so I wrap it like it's a novel. We will start with exposure, go to main story, and finish with resolution. Yeah, I don't know. And so with exposure, I need to start with services I used in AWS. Unfortunately or fortunately, knowing just one service and do serverless is impossible, so you kind of need to learn something around the vendor you're going to use. So with AWS, I'm going to use the next, and actually there is a lot of experts here. So people who knows and AWS, I'm going to simplify things, right? Some of you may say I oversimplifying things, but please just bear with me. I want to keep it casual. So I'm going to use S3 like an object storage, and will store assets in there. I'm going to use IAM like to manage access rights. I'm going to use API gateway for URLs. CloudFormation is going to do deployment for me, and of course AWS Lambda. That's the main thing why we're all here. And I ask you, please, like 3 people who didn't raise hand here, please try it at home. I know everybody else has already known what is that. And that's all free. All the big providers, they have a free tier, so you can go play there. That's totally fun and free for you. And really quick for those who doesn't know what is serverless. It does have servers, all right? Like wireless has wires, serverless has servers. We do run our code on servers. We not run it in a wild, we run it inside the container, and that basically is going to be our Lambda function or any cloud function. So the function which runs in the container on the server is cloud function. Let's stick with this. And the really cool thing about it that we can remove servers here. I mean, like we don't need to think about it when we develop something serverless. And that gives us a lot of things what we can do. And the very thing that comes to our mind is that removes the limits of the server. So basically, if we have a server, we can scale only inside this one server. But if we remove it, that means we kind of can scale. I don't want to say unlimited because I know this guy. He knows AWS. He looks at me like this, like what's she gonna say? No, I'm not gonna say like unlimited, but you definitely can scale more than just behind one server. So, and how that works, basically we have a request, we have a Lambda which respond to this request. While our Lambda is working, we have 2 more requests coming. So what we're gonna do? Just run 2 more Lambdas, not a big deal. We have other requests coming, great, we will just run more Lambdas. That's all scaling, and that's how it works with cloud functions just out of the box. That's their big power. And with this, we're done with setting up tools, we can go to main story. And main story is a code review, as I said. The demo application you can find here on my GitLab. That's really basic and very simple. I used Facebook's generate React application. I used some pre-generate for my Lambda. And what it does, it just simple search using YouTube API. And why I want it to be server-side rendering, because when I opened the page and I didn't enter any search, I wanted to show some nice search for Aussies. So that's what we're gonna do. And let's do some diagrams. I'm solution architect, at least. I need to do diagrams. So how that gonna work? I'm a user and I'm going to go into site. I open it in my browser. Browser will go to API gateway, which is actually AWS already. The API gateway will trigger the Lambda. Lambda will render my code, my site, return it back to browser. It starts rendering it, and then it notices that it doesn't have some static things like images, bundle.js at least, main CSS and everything else. And with this, it comes to the S3 bucket. And in S3 bucket, we will keep everything static, just files. It will serve back to the browser. Browser can render the site, browser happy, and user is happy as well. That's simple like this. So with this, let's go to the project. Let's go to the code review. So there is a lot of pre-generated code. I'm not going to go through all the file structure, just mention some of very important and which I actually changed. So that's going to be config, packages on serverless UML. I use serverless framework to do deployments and to pre-generate some Lambda templates to me. So that's really nice, check it out. I don't have time to talk a lot about it, but I really like it. And of course, I need to update source to render it. So I will start with config. In config, again, everything done not by me, by Facebook React template. I just added this config for Lambda because we need to compile and transpile our code for running it at Node.js. That's basically what's going on in here. So just make sure that my code gonna compile to Node and will run with command.js. That's it. Then when we go to packages zone, I just added a few scripts in there. I have one to run my Lambda locally to debug it and test it, how that works, and another one to deploy it to AWS. And then we go to serverless UML. Serverless UML has 17 lines, and these 17 lines actually describe everything that's going on in AWS. Like my setup for S3, for API gateway, and for Lambda, and all the connections, it's all in 17 lines. The most important here is 11, which is handler, which is actually going to be my cloud function. And another one is Webpack, which is going to be doing like this compilation of code for me. And then we will go to source, and inside the source, like beside all the React application, I have this folder Lambda. And which nice folder Lambda has 2 files. That's we kind of be fast with this, right? So handler and renderer. Let's start with handler, my little code review. What's going on here? It's really small, 17 lines again. The most important here again, this renderer page, that's actually my cloud function, the function that's gonna be serverless and run somewhere. And it's 3 lines. The main line in here, again, that's I'm catching the errors. With cloud functions, you want to catch errors. Nothing bad happened, but I mean, something bad happened. It's better to catch it and process it right. So I use for these promises, catch it and do it. And then if everything is okay, I just create the response, which is actually a little wrapper, just set the right status, set the right header so my browser will understand it, and render right. And the main magic going on in the render function. So render comes from renderer, and if we go inside there, actually here I do a little trick. I'm not going to show the whole code of render.js, just because that's a lot. A lot of people here knows what is rendering on the server side, and they know that it's like a huge big topic how to render application on the server. What you need to do with this, there is a lot of pitfalls, there is a lot of things you need to learn about it, and that's actually what's going on in the render.js. So have this application render on the server or in Lambda, you still need to set up it like in an isomorphic application. I'm not going to talk about it if you want. I just did, if you for some reason don't know how that works or you need to learn more, I did a quick Googling for you. Just a few links, you can go there and check it out. That seems like pretty nice tutorials to look into this and instead how that works, but we will move on and see things specific to Lambdas and specific to Cloud Function. So that's error handling again. I will say it again. So I use these promises, but you really want to catch all the errors and process it right. And the another one is having your environments. So with Lambdas, your environments differs quite a bit. So for example, in our case, when we run it locally, we want our Lambda go somewhere to localhost to get all the static files. When we run it in AWS, we want our Lambda to go somewhere, our site to go somewhere at S3 and get all the static assets. And that's just an example. So how I did in here, with this example of static files, I just use the environment variables. And how you can set it up, just easy. Here's how it's serverless, all the Lambdas and basically Cloud Functions, they have environment variable. You set it up in the config file and it will deploy, and when your Lambda runs, it will have access to these variables. And bingo, that's it. That hopefully wasn't that boring, but that definitely was fast, right? Like 5 minutes code review. And that's my point. So that's the application, that's something real world application. I mean, I didn't do at my work this quick search on YouTube, but we did something like this with server-side rendering and have it in production. All right, so resolution. When I speak about serverless, I have quite a few questions about it. Like, first of all, they're like, all right, we got it, that's a nice toy, but why we should have it? Serverless works good for us. And here it comes for advantages and pitfalls. So why you should have it? If you need to answer this question, I would really recommend to go to vendor side, like Azure, AWS Lambdas, Google Cloud Function. They have a lot of use cases. They have a lot of advantages. They did it really nice with really nice language with pictures. You really fall in love into Cloud Function when you read through this. But if you get it and you said, all right, I got why I need to use Lambda, but it sounds like a magic. There should be something about it wrong. I mean, it can't be so good, right? So, and if you want to find about disadvantages, of course, don't go to this vendor site. They don't have it. Just do a quick search on the internet, and the best article I like about disadvantages, and I would say the things you need to be very cautious and accurate with Cloud Functions is on serverless. You may see it before the serverless, the guys they actually do this deployment thing, and they did really nice article about disadvantages of Lambdas and what issues they have in there. And another question that I had, can I really use it in production? I mean, this demo application that looks nice, maybe, but not everybody needs a server-side rendering. Sometimes server-side rendering works good for us. So what else we can do with this? I would say basically mostly everything. Yeah. So there is like a ton of examples like HTTP services, IoT, chatbots, image, machine learning, batch jobs, like everything. It's better if you have an idea and you can't think why you can't use Lambda for it, just go ahead and use Cloud Functions for it. That's not a problem. And again, I talk a lot about AWS. What else about it? What else do we have? Like what else vendors? That's Google, that's Azure, IBM, Twilio. There is a quite big choice of it, but you can tell me, all right, we got it, but we will have a vendor lock in here. And here comes open source. I really, really like open source and what is going on in there. And of course, open source can't stay aside of this big topic like function as a service. And they created a lot of implementation of this. There's just a few that I found right away. A few of them I tried that works like magic. Unfortunately, it doesn't get this big abstraction of the service. There is still going to be a person who knows about service, but that will give all the advantages, and you won't have the vendor lock on here. So you can run it on DigitalOcean, on AWS, on Azure, whatever you wanted to run. And with this, that's it. Thank you a lot for listening, and have a good